to They Tried to Bury Us. My name is Tamer Kattan. I'll be your host. I'm a comedian, a writer, and an actor. I was born in Egypt and moved to America when I was just a kid, so I'm very proud of being an immigrant. And ever since I started doing comedy, I've met more and more immigrants, and I have found more and more amazing stories, and that's what this podcast is all about. Each week, I'm going to have a new guest. They're going to sit down and share with us their American origin stories, and we're going to get to know each other better, and we're going to find out that we're all just the same. So tune in each week, tell every single person you know, and thanks for listening. Hi guys, welcome back to another episode of They Tried to Bury Us. I'm Tamer Kattan, and with me as always is my co-host,
Kity Kattan.
Hi Kity, welcome back.
How are you?
How was your week?
Very good.
Good.
Very good.
I'm glad.
But I think my week start tomorrow gonna be stressful a little bit.
How come?
I can't say it over here. I tell you later. Yeah.
My mom's got stuff going on,
Remind
mafia-related
me,
stuff.
you give me some advice, but off the air.
The Egyptian mafia.
Yes,
you want to buy
better
some hummus
believe
that
it.
fell off a truck?
Yes.
Fell off a truck? Okay, so I imagine it has something to do with golf. But
Yeah,
I won't say anything.
we talk later.
Okay, my mom works at golf at this really nice golf course, and I imagine the season's heating up because the weather.
Oh yeah, we're super busy next
Yeah.
week. Every day tournament.
Yeah,
So
that's great.
very good.
Okay, well, welcome back. Nice to have you here.
Thank you.
I like that you're rocking a sleeveless shirt showing your lady muscles.
And guess what? What I have here?
You're
Oh my God!
Again, I love that you do this. You're like, guess what I'm wearing? And every time you forget that what you're wearing is the necklace that I did not buy.
Oh my God!
It's the necklace that you replaced the necklace that I
switch it.
bought you with.
But don't you think it's beautiful?
It is
Oh,
beautiful,
okay,
but
thank you.
it's a replacement.
Yeah, but it's a great.
It's as if you adopted another kid
no ever.
and then
don't
said,
you
hey,
say that.
also,
That's
look
your
what I
love.
have here. Look
your
what I
love.
have here.
That's your love, Tamer.
I got
right
this
there.
thing that's better than the original thing.
No. Don't switch.
brutal.
Don't switch the love.
It's
oh
okay,
my
Mom.
goodness.
The outside of my heart looks like the inside of a construction worker's palm.
Oh my
Just
God.
covered in calluses from the pain that I've had to
It's a
endure.
great gift. What you talking about?
I'm glad you like it, Mom.
Yes, thank
I'm
you.
glad you like it.
Thank you, and I love you for
Well,
it.
I love
Thank
you too. Well, see,
Okay.
this is the most Egyptian introduction we've ever had to the show, which
Yeah.
is perfect
Yeah.
because we have a Middle Eastern guest today. I'm very excited to introduce you
Yeah.
to. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to introduce you to a friend, a comedian, a phenomenal actor, comedian, director, I'd say as well, acting coach at one point. And we just performed together at Levity Live in Oxnard. We had a great weekend together. Welcome to the podcast, Paul Elia.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Can you do that, Auntie?
No, I don't know.
How good is your kalalala?
No, I never did that.
You never do that?
Never.
So what'd you do?
We never did it.
Really?
Yeah.
My mom's classy, yo. Don't ask my mom if she does.
Yeah.
I never
No,
did.
like it's always, in
They
celebration.
always celebration for wedding and birthday and all that. But
Yeah.
in my family, nobody knows
It's like
how
the
to do
Arab
it.
yeehaw.
Yeah.
Hilarious.
Right?
But I'm
That's what
glad
it
you
is.
know how to do it.
Yeah. My mom taught me.
I know.
taught me
But
one day.
you don't do it right. I think they do it with the tongue or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Something like but I never did it.
What do you think, Tamer? Can you do it?
I can't
No,
do it. I can do it only when I'm in a state of rage.
So when you're angry,
Let me see how you do it.
Let's see.
No. A pause. Oh my God, you're very good.
yeah.
See, now
Oh
I
my
know why white
God.
people are scared of us. That's
Yeah.
a scary
No,
sound.
man, it's good. It's like some DJ Khaled. It's about to hop on the beat.
Your mama raised you well.
She did, yeah. Unfortunately, that's the only thing she taught me.
I think it's like the sonic version of a haka. It's like this is scary. I just a tongue flicking in and out like we're human lizards.
No, but
Yeah.
some women, the professional woman, they put their finger, very,
Yeah, they
very
do.
good
They put their finger in front of their
finger,
mouth. And
with their tongue or something, and they do it very well,
To do it like louder?
louder.
But it's already loud.
No,
Yeah.
that's excellent.
Why do you
with-
need to hook speakers up?
She's talking like from the old country.
Oh,
the
yeah, where
country.
like, because they do it
You-
outside and they need people to hear them.
You try to copy it, but that's not the
Yeah.
original.
Yeah.
You're talking about Whole Foods hummus. She's
Yeah.
talking about.
Yeah, she
She
goes,
saw the
"Daddy,
beans get squashed.
Homemade.
Hummus. Yeah.
Homemade.
feet in a big jar.
Yes. So
I did the Sabra version.
okay,
You did
Got
the
it.
but you
Sabra
did a good
ver-
job.
Exactly.
I did a good job, though. Yeah,
Good
yeah.
job.
It was good
So-
Sabra.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's hilarious.
Yeah.
Well, dude, I'm glad we finally have you on the podcast.
Man, I'm glad too, bro.
We had a really great weekend together in Oxnard and with Ismo all weekend. We had really fun crowds, and it was good to
Yeah.
perform with you again. It's been a while since we've been on a show together, and I've always been a fan of your comedy, especially because it's really interesting because Iraqis, your family's from Iraq,
yeah.
and Iraqis have a huge community in San Diego. I know that the Caledonian community.
Chaldeans.
Chaldean.
Yeah.
What's Caledonian?
I have no idea, but
that's
we'll figure
like
it
a
out.
plumber company.
Caledonian. Yeah.
I am
Basically
the
a brand
worst.
of pizza, but yeah, basically Chaldeans. Well, Assyrians is what my ethnic background,
Gotcha.
and Chaldean is what distinguishes what type of Assyrian I am. So basically, I go through order of operations. I meet someone, they say, "So what's your ethnic background?" I'll say I'm Chaldean. They're like, "What? What's that?" And I'm
Yeah.
like, not that they have an accent, but they'll be like, "What is that?" And I'm like, "Oh, I'm Assyrian." And then usually people are like, "Oh, okay." But some people don't know what Assyrians are.
Me either. I don't know what's that.
Assyrian, yeah. So I say Assyrian, and some people are still like, "What?" And I say, "Well, my parents are Iraqi.
Iraqi,
That's the
okay.
country that my parents grew up in."
Yeah. Now
then-
I know Iraqi.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If someone says what, then it's like you don't know anything.
But
Yeah.
what's the difference between somebody who identifies as Assyrian and somebody who just says I'm Iraqi?
The difference is, well, Assyrian is our lineage. Like basically, the first documented empire is the Assyrian Empire, and the language we speak is called Sudith.
Oh,
Sudith,
so even the language is different.
yeah, Sudith is not Arabic. Sudith is different. It's a totally different language. So Assyrians basically speak Aramaic,
Oh wow.
Oh, like
Okay, cool.
Jesus'
like
language.
Jesus' language. Yeah.
Yeah.
So he hears my prayers, which is great. And
Oh.
yeah.
Oh, let me touch you. So I get
yeah.
blessed.
Yeah, tell me what you want me to ask him. Yeah. And I'll ask him whatever you want.
That's
Yeah.
so funny.
I get
Yeah.
blessed today. Very good.
Yeah.
That's cool. Well, it's nice. And this shows for the racists out there that listen to the pod. This shows that like we're not all the same.
Yeah.
I didn't know all these. I'm getting educated right now. I didn't
Yeah,
know.
me
that.
too.
That's cool.
Me too. But Syrian, it's like Syria, or that's different.
It's not Syria. Like
It's
Syria
different.
is different from Assyrian, even
Okay.
though it just has a different beginning.
Okay, I got it now. Iraqi, but from Syrian, different.
Assyrian.
Assyrian.
Yeah.
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 So Assyrians are. It sounds like a
Assyrian.
much older culture.
Yeah.
That then and before Iraq was probably even Iraq.
Yeah. This was back when, even before the Ottoman Empire.
Yeah.
You know, the Ottoman Empire, the fall of that is basically when all the Middle Eastern countries became Middle Eastern countries.
Yeah.
Before
Yeah.
it was all the Ottoman Empire.
See, I like that you know your lineage like that. It's like when you go to a restaurant and you get like really good chicken. They're like, this is where it came from. And I'm like, this is better quality.
Yeah, right.
It
Yeah.
knows it's.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know where Tyson chicken comes from. Like, I have no clue. But also, man, you know, I had a really interesting conversation with someone, and he expressed how important it is to know who you are.
Uh-huh.
Because unless you know where you come from and your history, you will never fully understand who you are.
It's a part of it, yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
And I feel like with like 23andMe, with Ancestry.com, there's more of a need for people to know who they are and where they come from.
Yes. Very important.
I like that people have the question. I like that people do that. I like that people want to know where they come from. And for me, not necessarily because I really care necessarily about like exactly what my DNA is, but just because I think it's a good practice to have some self-examination. You know, like Socrates said that unexamined life is not worth living. And it's true. Like, I think it's good to question ourselves and not be robots in the machine.
Yeah.
You know, like sometimes we grow up in a way where governments and culture tells us how to think, and we don't realize it. And then when you get older, you start to ask yourself, like, whoa, wow, in Europe, they rate movies
by violence, and we rate movies by sex. Is that right? You know, like these are things like I never thought about before, but because I saw that, I'm like, yeah, is it worse for a kid to see a boob versus to see a guy stab another guy in the head? I'm like, well, why is that PG and that R?
Yeah, I think the stabbing is definitely worse.
It is, of course, it's worse. But like, it's one of those things where like we grew up with it for so long that we don't question it. And I think that's what I like about the idea of wanting to know where you're from, because then it makes you question everything. And I think that's a healthy thing.
Yeah, like
that's why the sex among Middle East women is very low. Because they're not allowed to talk about sex. They don't have
You
any
mean like satisfaction with sex, you mean?
everything about sex.
they-
They don't have any idea.
Yeah.
When the young women get married, she don't have any idea.
Yeah.
No idea. No book to teach. Nothing. Even when they get their periods, they don't have any information. And even the mom at home, they don't teach the kids anything. You know.
You know what I heard
yeah,
from
that's
this.
basically my family.
Huh?
That's what happened with me.
Yeah.
My parents didn't teach me
Did you
anything.
get period too?
Period? No period. Hilarious, bro. Your mom is so funny,
She's crazy.
bro.
She's a crazy
Oh,
person.
man.
Oh,
No,
my
your
God.
mom's amazing, bro. Auntie.
You're so awesome.
You know what
Yeah,
you
you're
know what I
awesome.
heard about the reason why this happens in the Middle East is this guy was a social psychologist, and he said when you're in a society where it's really hard to move socioeconomically, like a lot of times in the Middle East, if you're born poor, you stay poor. If you're born middle class, you stay middle class. If you're born rich, you stay rich, no matter how good or bad you are at your job. So the only mobility we have is in social status.
Yeah.
So the biggest fear, the biggest damage that can happen to your quote unquote social status in an Arabic family is if your daughter gets labeled as a quote unquote slut.
Yeah.
And so that's why there's so much pressure and so much attention brought towards these women. And really, that's not the cause. The effect is a terrible government. It's terrible opportunity. It's a country that doesn't have hope or a way to become better at your life. And so you have these inward focuses where, oh, she's a slut or she's this, or sex is bad, and let's start using things like shame and like it's just
it's sad.
It's a
really
terrible
sad.
side effect.
And no education, no book. Even if they don't talk about it, no education about book or anything teach young women about sex or love. And love is a great thing. That's why you
course.
came from love, you know. It's create something beautiful. And you need to know. I mean, I watched movies the other day, Arabic movie. It make me feel sad because young women, she get married and she don't know what to do, and they went to psychology and she can't.
Oh,
kiss
like
a
in the
guy.
bedroom, she didn't know what to do.
She don't know.
Wow.
They went and either him or her. You
Oh,
know?
like so it's two virgins had no idea. That's a funny premise for a
Very
movie.
funny,
Hilarious.
and it's sad. But it's education. It's great to know everything. Nothing
Yeah.
wrong with that. Like you said, I mean, sex or somebody, the kids see somebody killing somebody. I prefer to watch a sex movie.
Of course.
Yeah.
And you know what? I think here's what I have a theory. It's a theory I got when I was drinking a little bit. And here's the theory. If your parents have good sex, you come out cool, you're a cool person. But if your parents have bad sex, then you come out with a shitty personality.
Oh my God!
Yeah.
Don't say that.
Yeah.
We used to sit around at a bar and like point at different people and be like,
Oh
let's
my
guess
God.
the sexual position their parents were in where they were born.
Oh, shit.
Like that guy's definitely doggy style. Like
That
look at that
guy's
face. That's a doggy style face.
Wow. So what am I? Am I missionary, reverse?
No, I think you're face to face, Paul. You're
Face-to-face, great,
face-to-face.
yeah.
That's good. That's the most
you're good.
intimate of positions.
You're comedian. You're funny guy. You're fun. So you're comedian. So that's mean good news.
Yeah, that's good. I mean, it was probably a good session.
Yeah.
Bro,
Probably a good session.
this is amazing. Can I just tell how amazing this is? Bro, if I talked about sex in front of my mom, she'd be so upset.
Of
Yeah.
course.
Yeah,
Like
she's
you
like,
don't respect her. You
Now
know?
you talk about the
Yeah,
sex.
yeah.
That is part of.
I am.
It's no respect if you
Ayib.
talk. Yeah.
Ayib,
You
yeah.
absolutely.
Ayib.
Yeah,
It's,
it's just a bummer when respect
yeah.
gets bigger than being able to get to know the people you love closer.
Yeah.
Or, you know, I'm not saying there's either way is right or wrong. I'm just saying I enjoy having this kind of relationship with my mom, and I know that
Yeah.
like we didn't always have this kind of a relationship. It was like There was a point where I went, I'm an adult now, and I like living in a way where I feel more free and more honest. And we started having really honest conversations with each other. A lot of them happened here on this podcast.
Yeah.
Like, I think even the podcast has made us closer.
Yes.
Wow.
Don't you
agree.
think? Like, I don't think I've
Yeah.
ever said that to you before.
No,
but I think it
we're
has.
always close, but
Yeah.
I mean more open.
Yeah,
more
we've had
open,
we've
yeah.
had conversations that I don't think maybe we would have had if it wasn't for some of the
Yeah.
guests that we've had or some of the emails that people sent us.
Yeah,
So the-
because I talked to Tamer when he's not elementary, middle school, about 6, and all my Egyptian friends, they think I'm cuckoo because
Yeah.
I tell him, because he asked me one time, if I touch a woman, she get a gear in school, she get pregnant. So I said, absolutely not.
Well, I
She's
didn't
not-
wash my hands after I peed.
Yeah, so
I didn't wash my hands after I
Oh
peed, and
my
then I
Yeah.
touched this girl, and I'm like,
Yeah.
oh,
Oh my
no,
God,
she's,
she's
gonna get pregnant.
Yeah, wow.
So you have to clear. I mean, it's good to give information from home because outside sometimes it's mixed information and it's not good information. It's better get it from home.
Yeah,
That's my opinion.
Yeah,
Do you know? Did you hear one of my closers this weekend?
the story Love Line,
Yes,
bro, it's amazing.
that's
yeah.
a true story.
Bro,
I don't
it's
know if I
amazing.
ever told you this, Keith. I don't know if you've seen. I think you've seen me do this joke. There was a joke where I say that misinformation is bad. Like, we don't talk to kids about a lot of things. And when I was a kid, there was a lot of news about AIDS
Yeah.
in the news, and it wasn't responsible reporting. They were just scaring people, saying, "Oh, gay zombies!
Yeah.
Look out for gay semen," and all this stuff. And I'd never masturbated before.
Yeah.
But the first time I ever masturbated was during the AIDS epidemic.
Yes, I remember.
Not me masturbating.
No, I
You remember the AIDS epidemic, but you don't remember me
No,
masturbating.
yeah.
Okay, 'cause
I remember catching you, Tamer.
the age.
I think we found the sound clip we're going to use to promote this episode.
Yeah,
Hold on.
I
But
think-
also, you, my son, I can tell what's going on easy.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, well,
that's
My
thank
mom
you.
had to have known.
Thank
it.
you
Yes,
for
okay,
ruining
yeah.
every
Yeah.
future masturbation session I've had in my life.
I'm like, Mom, I'm going to my room.
Yeah,
She's like, why is he always in his room?
Yeah, I don't need to know that you have an X-Man type of telepathy with when I do or don't masturbate. So here's what happened, and I don't
Yeah.
know if I told you this. I remember very clearly for the first time masturbating. Tino would have some Playboy magazines that he'd hide. This was the
Yeah.
big thing in the 80s and 90s.
Yeah,
like kids'
yeah.
dads would hide Playboys. But my dad didn't buy a lot of Playboys, but he bought the special editions. So this one, it was a black cover with a gold lettering, and it was Marilyn Monroe. And to tell you the truth, I'm very proud that the first woman I ever masturbated to was Marilyn Monroe in this Playboy anniversary. So this picture got me excited. I went to the bathroom, and I masturbated for the first time in my life, and I didn't know what I was doing. And the first time that I finished, I went, "Oh my God, this is the stuff they were talking about on the news."
Uh-huh.
And like, this is scary, you know.
I'm glad he
That's my
figured
This
it
is
out.
the stuff.
That's my
that-
first
this-
thought whenever I see jizz, too.
This is the stuff that makes AIDS. Like, AIDS lives in this.
Oh my
that's,
God,
That's what I
yeah.
thought because no one had a proper conversation with me about it, you know. So then I got a bunch of toilet paper, I started to wipe it off, and right then my dad banged on the door, and he's like, "What are you doing in there so long? You get out of the bathroom." And I'm like, "Okay, I'll be right out." But because I was nervous and in a rush, I wiped my butt with the same piece of toilet paper. So in my brain, I'm like, "Oh my God, I just gave myself AIDS." Like, because I
Yeah.
semen, but that's it.
Yeah.
I have
Poor
AIDS.
baby.
And I didn't want to. I couldn't talk to you about it. I was scared.
Yeah.
So, and at the time there was a show called Loveline that was on the air. So I called Loveline and I asked them if I had AIDS
Oh, yeah.
because I
Yeah.
touched my butt with my own semen,
Yeah.
and they laughed in my face.
Oh, of
Yeah.
course.
If you typed it into WebMD, they would have said yes.
And the funny thing is, I didn't know back then to
Of
use a
course,
fake name
yeah.
either. So
Yeah,
I used my name, and my
your
name was
regular
so weird that they just used my name.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you use middle name, too.
So everybody at school knew.
Yeah.
Or you're nervous, you just have to say it straightforward,
It
you
was
know?
Yeah.
really
So,
embarrassing.
yeah.
So thank you now for letting me know I can talk to you about things, so I don't have to call Loveline anymore
It's
as an
okay.
adult.
Hilarious.
So hey, speaking of moms and families and stuff like that, tell us about your family. Like, what
Yeah.
did they? You were born in Detroit.
I was raised in Detroit. Yeah.
Raised in Detroit.
Yeah. I mean, I was born in San Diego, but we lived
Oh,
there
wow.
so briefly, and then we moved to Detroit.
Yeah, because you've got such a Detroit vibe about you, and you always
Yeah.
rep Detroit. So that's cool. I get it. Like I'm the same way. Whereas raised is really more how I identify.
Yeah,
But-
that's who I am. I mean, a
Yeah.
lot of what I learned about life was in Detroit. Like my parents, they obviously taught me a lot, but what I tend to use the most, like the unanswered questions, like about sex, about relationships, about honor, about like
Yeah,
defending yourself, about all those important things, about even business. I learned from just out in the streets. You know, and
Yeah.
I mean, I grew up in a rough neighborhood as well,
Yeah.
and so Detroit is really in a lot of ways who I am.
Yeah, absolutely, man. That the whole "it takes a village" thing is right, but I think it's the only thing. Well, it's the one thing Hillary Clinton said that I remember the most is
Yeah.
it takes a village to raise a child, and I think in a lot of ways, like your city influences you in a lot of ways.
Yeah, totally.
But so my question is, like, your family immigrated from Iraq.
Mm-hmm.
How were Assyrians perceived in Iraq, and was that part of the reason why they immigrated to America?
Well, they were very religiously persecuted against because we're Christian. So a lot of Christians didn't feel it wasn't safe anymore.
Yeah.
So during that time, the automotive industry was booming in Detroit.
Sure.
So basically, how it worked is Assyrians are such a tight knit community. Once a couple of Assyrians went to Detroit, went to America, and made a name for themselves, all these other Assyrians started coming to Detroit.
Yeah, isn't that funny how that happens? Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
like
'cause
where
then we
was it
know
for
it's-
Egyptians?
We know it's possible. It's funny because look at the 5-minute mile in the Olympics. Nobody did a 5-minute mile until this one guy broke it, and then the next year, like 20 people did it.
Yeah.
Because then they all went, "This is possible. This isn't a dream. This is real." And I think that's how. I mean, we're in Koreatown now.
Yeah.
I think how Detroit has so many Arabs is exactly how there's so many Koreans here.
Yeah.
There's this, alpha Korean who moved here first and then
An
became like
alpha
the
Korean.
godfather, in some way there was a web of information, wisdom, people helping each other.
Helping. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And that's
Yeah,
how
yeah.
communities like that, even Little Cairo and Queens and
New
Little
Jersey,
Italy.
full of Egyptians.
Exactly. That's how those
Yeah.
communities form.
Well, one thing I will say, Middle Eastern people, I think in general, they really look after their own.
Yeah.
Like a Middle Eastern person will see another Middle Eastern person, won't even know them, and they'll say, "This is my sister. This is my brother."
Cousin.
See,
My
that's-
cousin. I help
I don't
them.
always get that experience.
Really?
I really don't. Maybe it's because I have tattoos or something, so they immediately think of me as not Arab.
Yeah.
But dude, I actually envy other cultures in the sense that I think they look out for each other more.
I mean, it depends. Like I'll say this: like my uncles have said, every business deal that has gone bad has been with someone they're related to. Like with business, it's every time I deal business with my cousin, they always try and fuck me over.
Yeah, it's like a
So-
double-edged sword.
So, but I feel like when it comes to just hospitality, like whenever, like I'll do a show in New York, like we do the Arab American Comedy Festival, we'll
Yeah.
do, or I'll open up for Moam or somewhere, right? And then people after the show that are Arabs are like, anytime you're in town, take down my number, stay with me and my family. We'll cook for you. We'll do this. You let me know what we can do. Like whenever I'm around Assyrians or I'll do like a Chaldean show,
Yeah.
so much love and
See,
support.
but I think that might be a little different
Mm.
because Assyrians were mistreated.
Yeah, and there's
And
also
it's a
very
community
inside
within a
baseball.
community.
Yeah,
Exactly,
Yeah. But
exactly.
even with Arabs too, like Arabs, like even with like it doesn't matter if they're Muslim or Christian. Like, I think, I mean, just from my own experience,
Yeah.
I've received a lot of love from the Middle Eastern community. Like,
You're lucky.
Yeah, I mean,
That's great. I'm
am
happy.
lucky, man.
I think that's really great. And you see how I talk about Arabs on stage. I
Yeah.
love my culture. I love my people. But the only dark spots I have in my comedy career is like I'm a writer. You can tell when you look at my jokes that I'm a writer.
Yeah.
The only time I've ever been accused of stealing a joke was from another Middle Eastern person. And it broke my heart.
Yeah.
I was
Yeah.
like, and it wasn't even like, hey, we have a joke that's similar. It was just a straight up accusation. And I was like, I've never been more disrespected, and the way that they came at me was so aggressive that it just really bummed me out. And then there was a couple other times where things like that kind of happened with other Middle Eastern comics. And I was like, what is going on? Like, at first I go, maybe it's me. Maybe it's me. Maybe I'm just a little bit outside of being Arabic, you know, because of how I was raised or where I was raised.
Yeah.
But I was like, it's a bummer to me. It's a real bummer because a couple of those comics are comics I really admired, really looked up to. And it's a bummer when people of your own culture, like, kind of treat you as an outsider.
Well, you know, when it comes to just comedy and just business, like entertainment business, the entertainment business in general is just shady as fuck.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No,
so,
for sure. It
yeah,
is.
man. So, you know, like I've also had, you know, within the Middle Eastern comedy community, I felt burned a couple times.
Yeah.
And I didn't like it. And there are some other Middle Eastern, you know, people within the community, whether they're bookers or actual performers, that I haven't had a pleasant experience with.
Yeah.
But really, man, like, you know, I look at you, Tamer, not as a comedian. I look at you as Tamer, my friend, and my brother, right?
Yeah.
So it's like you're a comedian second. I think when you have like relationships with some Middle Eastern comics, first as like, oh, we're Middle Eastern and we're comedians.
Yeah.
I think relationships can get skewed. Like I know
Sure.
you, like I've seen you, I know you.
Sure.
We've had deep conversations. Like I think other comics that would ever give you any type of
Yeah, you're right.
haste, they just don't know you.
Sure. And it might be a thing where maybe I expected too much just because I went, oh, cool. Like almost like the way Assyrians click with each other because they're a culture inside a culture. I think because I was raised here, I feel like a culture inside a culture. I feel like a culture that's mistreated in America. And so when I look at other Arabic people, whether they're Egyptian or Syrian or wherever, I look at them and say, hey, we should be like brothers.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I think maybe I'm getting my feelings hurt, and that's not what this podcast is about.
No,
But this
no.
episode's about. But it's a reality, and it's something I wanted to ask you too, because as a guy who's obviously very proud of his culture, but you're very Americanized as well.
Yeah.
You know, so do you ever experience that for not inside comedy, but have you experienced that growing up where people are like, you're not Arabic enough? Have you ever felt that?
Yeah, totally, man. I mean, I think it's more so it could be me projecting. It could be me assuming what they're thinking. And it's just like there's been times where I would do shows and I'm like, oh, the reason why they're not inviting me back. And clearly I'm like, okay, I just murdered this room.
Yeah.
Right? Like clearly it's very known that I went on stage, I did very well and I left. And after the show, people are like trying to book me for other things. So it's very obvious that my performance was solid.
Yeah.
And I'm very cordial, bro. I'm cordial. I treat everyone with the most respect.
That's totally true. Yeah.
Like one thing my mom taught me was, this is from working at our liquor store. My mom owned a liquor store and we were working, we had it for about 20 years and I used to work there. And whenever I would work there, my mom would just always preach, say, treat the customers with respect so they can come back.
Sure.
So we want their business, but also we want to respect the people that are giving us business.
And we talked about this weekend, the Maya Angelou quote. People don't always remember what you do or say, but they always remember how you made them feel.
Yeah, which is what basically where I operated from.
Yeah.
Every time I would see a comic, even comics that weren't funny, comics that are just brand new, I'd say, hey, if you ever need anything, if you come to LA, here's my number, call me. And some comics, I see their distance. They're like, okay, yeah, sure, whatever.
Yeah.
You know,
like you're not being authentic.
Like I'm not being authentic.
Yeah.
And I get it because some people have that guard up. So, I mean, as far as how I've been treated like not Arabic enough, I think it's more so, I think it was coming from a different place. And also people would look at me and say, oh, this guy doesn't look Arab. You know, this guy looks Italian. This guy doesn't know what it's like to, you know, and sometimes like
you do look a little Italian. I'm like,
yeah,
a little bit.
Yeah,
Yeah.
usually I get Italian.
Yeah,
No, but we're keeping you. You're in. You're good looking. We're not going to give away our good lookings
That's what I'm
to
saying.
other cultures.
Yeah.
You
If you
know?
see an Arabic guy as a good looking guy, you should hug him even harder.
Yeah.
Not push him away. We need the
Right.
good looking ones to
Yeah.
stay.
You know, I'll switch teams. I have a 2-year contract. I'll be a free agent.
but that's great. You know, your mom teach you something respect. That's all Middle East. They teach their kids respect and honor and all that.
That's the silver
Good
lining.
thing,
Yeah.
yeah,
You know what's really interesting? Speaking of like attraction, I had this really interesting thing happened to me because, as far as like good-looking like Arabic people, I hear some people say, "Oh, Arabs are good-looking." Some people say, "Oh, Arabs are not good-looking," and I'm like, it depends on where you live, right? Like in the West, I think we're viewed negatively. Even the way like not obviously not
Like
everybody.
physically, like we're
But-
not sexy.
Yeah, but not always. But I think sometimes the caricature of us is not flattering. But here's the funny thing, and it influenced me without me even being aware of it. So last time I went to Egypt a long time ago, and I visited a guy named Hamada. Do you remember he's Sammy's cousin? And when I went there was like this big group of girls that was his sister's friends. There was like 14 of them. And I was like, that's probably when I was the most single in my life. And I was like, wow, look at all these really cute girls. And then Hamada said, a lot of the girls like you, did you find any of the girls attractive? And I'm like, oh yeah, this one girl. And he goes, oh my God, I knew you were going to say her. And I'm like, why? And he goes, because nobody in Egypt thinks she's attractive, but she's Western attractive.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally. There's
And
totally
I was
a
like,
type. Yeah.
I was programmed.
Yeah.
All the commercials I watch, the TV shows I watch, the hero actress looks Western. And so when I went to Egypt, even though I'm an Egyptian, and even though I looked at people who look like me, and I looked away towards the girl that looked more Western.
Yeah.
And then I thought about, like, even if you look at beauty pageants in India, the woman who wins looks the most American, even though she's Indian.
Yeah.
And you see it newscasters, all the Western influence through TV, movie, all that stuff. If your eyes aren't open, it totally changes who you are and aren't attracted to. It's crazy.
Yeah. Because if you're very modern in Egypt, you scare the men. They don't like it.
Interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, they get scared. She's so wild. She's so open.
She might make me look bad.
Yeah. Maybe.
I think they take it as emasculated.
I
She'll
don't
make me look
know.
like I'm not strong.
Yeah. Yeah.
That could be a potential one.
Yeah.
I think it's a variety of things.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I definitely think that could be a potential one.
Yeah. It's weird. All right. So tell me this. Your parents decide we're going to come to America. Did they share the feelings they must have had at the time? Like, how did they look at America from Iraq? Like, did they see it as like safety, or did they know how hard it was going to be?
Well, my mom was really poor in Iraq. Like basically when she was staying in the northern area of Iraq. When she was there, she had how many brothers? 3 brothers, 1 sister. And then her mom and her dad, they all lived in one room. They lived in a room. And my mom used to work at a place that fixed TVs when she was 12.
Wow.
So my mom was fixing TVs when she was 12.
12 years old.
12 years old, yeah.
Wow.
And she was going to school. And while she was going to school, she would go work for this TV company. And then she developed her own client list and started fixing other people's TVs on the side.
Good for her.
Yeah.
Strong women.
Yeah. And my grandfather, what he used to do is that he had a donkey and
Yeah.
or some sort of goat.
Yeah.
Yeah, donkey.
Yeah, donkey. I'm pretty
Yeah.
sure it was donkey.
Donkey.
And he would go like an hour to this area, and then he would bring a machete and he would cut these like grains, and he'd take the grains, bring them back, and sell them.
Yeah. So people were hustling, just finding
for
ways to make
Hustling,
money.
bro.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
finding. Yeah. I think that's pretty common, even now in a lot of ways. Like there's.
Yeah.
I know people that are like.
That's
finding
honestly that's
ways
their
to make
version of
money.
Uber and Lyft.
You're so right. I was just gonna say that. You're 100% right.
It's the modern version.
It's the non-digital version of like Uber Eats and Lyft and all that stuff. Like it's people finding ways to create industry.
I mean, it's a lot less stressful, in my opinion. Like I think
Yeah.
you're sitting down. That's why like some of my friends that drive for Uber, they're like, bro, it's so mentally stressful. I was like, bro, my mom is 12 years old,
Yeah.
fixing TVs, lying about her age, so she can end up getting other jobs because you have to be a certain age to work at some places. Like you
Yeah.
need to be 14. So my mom would go to the state Secretary of State version or whatever that is in Baghdad,
Yeah.
wherever that is.
Yeah.
And then she would say, "Can you make me older?" They'd make her older, and then
Oh.
she'd go work.
No
Oh,
way.
wow.
Yeah, so my mom would do that. So my mom's like
That takes a lot of courage, by
Yeah.
the way.
Yeah.
You know what I
she's a
mean?
Strong women.
Like a lot of
Hustler, yeah.
even being a
Yeah.
business owner takes courage.
Yeah.
Instead of just I'm just going to take a job. I'm going to create a company. It takes a certain amount of courage. And for a 12-year-old girl to do these things, she's a brave lady.
Yeah.
Yeah, brave. And I mean, when she came to America, she had all of us. And my dad he came from a very wealthy family in Baghdad. And then or in Iraq, sorry. And then he started to, like my grandfather he sold his company. And then, some of my uncles like made some bad investments. So basically he lost all his money.
Oh wow.
So my
I was gonna ask, how did the
Yeah.
rich guy meet the poor girl?
Yeah, well, how it happened was when my mom met my dad was broke as fuck. He had nothing. Like my dad had barely enough money to buy her a ring.
Yeah.
Wow.
And then when they moved to San Diego, my mom would basically sell cars. She would like save my dad's money that he would make from being a butcher. My dad like loved meat, so my
Yeah.
dad was a butcher.
Oh.
And then my mom used that money to save that to buy cars, and she'd buy and sell cars.
So they heard about the
That's the
community
thing.
in San Diego all the way in Iraq.
Yeah, yeah,
Wow, that's
yeah.
so fascinating.
And then they just started basically. My mom, like her version of the American dream, was honestly, and I say to my stand-up, to open a liquor store.
Wow.
Wow.
She goes, I'm going to own my own business.
Yeah.
And then basically my mom was doing that anyway by selling cars. She would like buy jewelry from people, then sell it. Like my mom was
For
just
a
her,
hustler, yeah, she was
hustler.
hustling,
Very
yeah.
good for her.
so.
By the
yeah,
way,
so,
Caledonians got it right.
Chaldeans.
Chaldeans got
And the
it.
Caledonians.
Chaldeans.
Yeah.
Chaldeanians got it right.
Yeah.
Like a lot of
Great
people are
women.
like, oh,
Yeah.
we're gonna move to America and we're gonna move to Dearborn or Michigan.
yeah.
and like, or these other parts of America that are like cold or harsh. San Diego. Woo.
Watch out for
You guys
Middle
ended up
East
moving.
women.
You guys ended up moving to Michigan.
yeah. Then, yeah.
So what made you guys leave San Diego for Michigan?
Well, my mom was having a lot of like personal problems in San Diego. And it was just like getting really hard for her because like she was like hustling so fucking hard. And then she basically had an opportunity to go to Detroit because people were like, hey, there's liquor stores here, there's gas stations here, and like there's all this infrastructure.
Yeah.
And it's like, hey, there's some Middle Eastern people over here that are willing to lend some helping hand.
Yeah.
Also, my mom's family lived in Windsor, which was like an hour away, like 30 minutes away from Detroit. So we moved to Southfield, Michigan, which was like 10 minutes outside of Detroit. We lived in a townhouse, and then my dad got a job working at a supermarket. And then me and my brothers, and my dad's brother was in Detroit. My dad's brother, was a really wealthy doctor.
Oh wow.
Yeah, so he was a very wealthy doctor. So my dad was like, I could be close to my brother, and I want to raise my kids in Michigan. So we're in Michigan, and then years later, my mom got a hold of a liquor store for a good price. She saved all her money, and she got the store.
Now, was this a moment like, because it's funny because until you said that this was her version of the American dream, I'd be like, oh, okay, well, this is just the next business move. But it's not. That's a big deal.
Yeah.
Very
Because it
big
wasn't.
deal.
She wasn't getting a liquor store. She was getting her dream.
Yeah.
She was getting her dream, but it ended up turning out to be the thing that like caused her a lot of stress and pain. You know
Well,
what I mean?
yeah, a lot of times that happens with small businesses.
Yeah, because business isn't doing well. Like my mom was trying to get liquor at the store, like she was trying for years, but the state wouldn't give it to her. And
Wouldn't give her a license.
yeah,
Oh,
and like
wow.
we look at the register and we're ringing up, let's say $2,000 on a weekend, and it's like $2,000. What's the profit of that? Like maybe like $500, $600. So my mom's like, I worked all day, I worked 14 hours, and I made $600. She goes, I mean, this is not enough for like 4 kids and a house and a home, and then and it's even less than that. So basically, our store was in a rough area, so my mom found ways to hustle while she was there. Like we would cash checks, and then we charged 2% for cashing checks.
Good for her.
So people would come in, they'd say, here's an $800 check. My mom would be like, cool, I'm taking, I think, was that $16?
$16. Yeah.
$16 a check. And then we would get like 20 of those a month.
Yeah.
And then people would come in and they'd be like, hey, you want to buy these shoes? We got all these shoes that we got from this, from Pakistan. My mom's like, I want to buy all these shoes. Mom, and then we would literally sell shoes. So like my store, like most stores would sell like beer, wine, chips, cigarettes.
Because you make the money from the liquor.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
liquor, since we didn't have it, we only had beer and
So,
wine.
But it
Yeah.
made your store different than everybody
Yeah, bro,
else's.
we
yeah.
sold shirts, shoes, speakers, baby formula,
Good for her.
insurance, cell phones,
Wow.
money orders. Like people will come to the store and they're like, I just want some Funyuns.
You know what I like about that? There was an architect that he described this really smart thing. He was building a building, and then he finished building this building, and then they said, when are you going to do the walking path? We thought there was a walking path. And he goes, during winter. And they're like, what do you mean? And he goes, I want it to be a natural path. So during winter, it snowed, and then he saw the footpaths that people made in the snow, and then he made the footpaths naturally. So it was so insightful. Wow. And to think about your mom's
God,
store,
Yeah.
instead of building a store and filling it with shit that you think people want, she built it the other way.
Yeah.
She she watched the community come in and say, this is what we need. This is what we buy. This is what, and then built her store that way.
Yeah.
What a
It's
great
so smart.
women.
It's
Yeah, we salute
out of
her.
necessity. What's that?
Yes.
Necessity is the mother of
Yes.
invention.
Yes.
That's
Yeah.
great, man.
Yeah.
That's
Watch
awesome.
out for Middle East women, especially. Wow.
Yeah, with business. Yeah, my mom didn't
Yeah.
fuck around with business. Like people will come into my mom's store, and like people that my mom's doing business with.
Yeah.
Like there was a guy that owned a car dealership across the street from our store.
Mm-hmm.
So this guy would always come in and he would ask my mom to borrow money, and he'd be like, they call my mom Miss Nancy. So that's her name.
Yeah, cute name.
Yeah, yeah. So
Yeah.
people would be like, Miss Nancy, can I borrow some money, and I'll pay you back. And my mom's like, if I give you money, I'm charging 10% interest.
Good for her.
And this is all under the table shit. So this guy would be like, all right, how about this? If you loan me $10,000, I'll let you hold on to these 2 cars as collateral. And if I don't pay you by this day, you keep the cars.
Yeah.
Wow, that's a
the
big
best,
loan.
Yeah.
So
They weren't talking. That's a huge
Yeah.
loan.
yeah, but and this guy wanted money, wanted 10 grand. My mom was like, okay, how about this? I'll give you 10 grand, and you give me these 2 cars, and if you when you give me my money back, you can I want to buy these cars off you, if you don't sell them. Like, and then the guy would be like, okay, so the guy would pay my mom back on time, and my mom would be like, all right, like basically when she had these cars, people would come to the store and she's like, hey, would you spend 20,000 for these 2 cars? And someone's like, I would. So then my mom's like, all right, cool. So my mom like, listen, how about this? I'll give you $10,000 for these 2 cars. And the guy's like, okay, sure.
And
Now
then
my mom
she
sold
knew
it for
she could
20.
make more.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah. So that's the type of money she
Wow.
was making.
But also, she's a great businesswoman,
Yeah.
and I'm sure she has a great personality.
Yeah, personality is
she
great. Yeah.
attracts the people to her store.
Yeah, because she did it with love. Like people
Yeah.
would come to my
Yeah.
like people come to my mom's store. Like a lot of crackheads will come to
Yeah.
our store. Like people
Wow.
that are doing drugs and
Yeah.
like and
Rough area.
my mom treated them with so much respect.
That's really
like people
nice.
that would literally come to the store and they're like and they would buy the love roses thing I told you about.
Yeah,
like
yeah. To
basic-
use as a pipe.
to use as a pipe. And
Yeah.
my mom would treat them with just as much respect as she would treat anyone else.
There's this thing
Yeah.
in a lot of gas stations, Kity. It looks like there's a little rose inside, and it's like this glass tube. And what the people who made it didn't realize is that for crackheads and sometimes homeless people, drug addicted people will buy that rose, pull the rose out, and use it like a crack pipe.
Oh, I don't know.
Yeah, well, I know.
Yeah,
You don't watch
Yeah,
enough,
yeah,
Yeah, it's okay.
Good, I'm glad,
dirty
yeah.
cable shows. Yeah. You don't watch enough Locked Up Abroad or
Yeah.
Raw.
No,
or,
no,
okay.
I
But
get
yeah,
so
that
sad.
happened. But I bet you that tactic is what kept her safe in such a rough place.
Yeah, people would come
Love
to.
her.
We didn't have bulletproof glass either,
Yeah.
and my mom didn't want to get bulletproof glass because it was too expensive. Like my mom's like, if God wants to take me, He'll take me.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
And I'm
I
like, you just
agree.
don't want to spend the money.
That's
right?
so funny.
So like we have been robbed one time. We were robbed one time, but in 20 years, like people will come to the store, like huge gangsters will come to the store, and they will call my mom either Miss Nancy or Mama.
Mama.
And
That's nice.
they'd be like, Mama, if anyone messes with you, you let me know, and I'll fucking kill
Yeah.
them.
Yeah.
And they're dead serious. And my mom's like, no, you don't need to kill anyone.
Yeah.
No one needs to die.
Yeah.
But I will let you know.
But she protect her place with love.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, did this rub off on you? Did people treat you better because they knew you were the son of Miss Nancy?
Oh yeah, people will come in. Well, the thing is, at the same time, like the issue with my mom, what she taught me was, she goes, Paul, there is such thing as being too nice. Like my mom had such a big heart for people that people took advantage of her. Like she lost a lot because she was so nice and generous to people.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, my mom did some very like jujitsu business moves,
Yeah.
but also at the same time, it also hurt her in a certain way. So that's why there's always this balance.
Yeah.
So I feel like with me, I had a hard time finding the balance because I was so nice to people.
Yeah.
Like I'm the type of dude where if I had a plate of food, before I eat any, I give it to someone. I'm like, here, you eat something. When you're done, I'll finish it.
You
Yeah,
did that to me this weekend.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, like before you even started, and you're like, "Oh, I got this for all of us."
yeah,
And then I'm like,
That's
okay.
very sweet.
Yeah.
yeah. But I
Very
mean,
sweet.
Tamer's my brother. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
with food. But I think when it comes to other things, I think it's irresponsible to not look after yourself.
Yeah.
Sure.
I agree.
Yeah.
You have to balance, because put yourself number one also.
Yeah.
And balance, give love to people and take care of yourself also.
Yeah.
Because sometimes if you give too much love, you look like people, they think you're stupid.
Well, they treat it. They think of it as weakness.
It's weakness.
Yeah,
And then
yeah, yeah.
when
No,
they get
I'm not
desperate,
stupid, yeah.
and then when they get desperate, they look at weakness as opportunity.
Yeah.
And that's the danger of looking weak.
Yeah, because
is
they
people
use you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
In certain every community has a different set of laws, and I'm not talking about the laws we get to vote on.
Yeah.
I'm talking about like the laws of the street, of the community, and
Yeah.
it's smart to be aware that
Yes.
there is a point where you can give too much.
Right.
You know,
I agree.
and make yourself a target unknowingly.
Yeah.
You know, yeah. So what about when you were growing up? What would you say was the toughest time you went through? Did you feel 100% American or 100% Assyrian, or did you ever have trouble with your sense of identity?
Well, when I was younger, man, I acted very, very like I was like a ghetto kid, man. Like I was just like super hood, like super long tees, like. And
Oh my God!
I don't and
Really?
like sag my pants to my ankles.
It makes people look
Oh my
shorter.
God.
I
yeah.
used to it makes people look so short. It makes their
It's
torso
bad for the body. It's bad for what are they on RuPaul's Drag Race? It's a
Yeah.
bad
That's
silhouette.
mean your
yeah, with
wear
my underwear. And my mom would be like, I can't remember how you say it in Arabic, but she says Basik de bayin. Like I can see her.
I see your underwear.
Yeah, she'd be like Basik bayin, kelp.
Yeah, yeah.
She goes, pick up your pants.
Oh my God! Thank God,
Dipsis.
Tamer, he don't do that.
Yeah,
Oh my
yeah.
God, the drive me
I did
crazy.
punk rock stuff though.
Yeah, like you do the pants.
I had
silly
peg
thing.
pants and combat
Yeah,
boots
yeah,
and
yeah.
ripped shirts. You
Yeah.
Bro,
know.
I was the opposite of that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's-
and I mean, I basically adapted to my surroundings.
I don't
Yeah,
think hip hop's the
yeah.
opposite of
Yeah.
punk rock, by the way.
Hip hop is the opposite of punk rock. No, I mean, I don't think.
I think it's a similar flavor with a different sound.
opposite of hip hop. I don't know what that is.
I think the opposite of hip hop is like maybe country.
Arabic music.
Not even that. I mean, that's silly to say. Even it's not the opposite of country. It's like I think hip hop to me always came across as political, and at least the hip hop my generation grew up with, like Eazy-E. It's not. I don't think hip hop is what it used to be. But I think it
No.
was. Hip hop was more poetic and from like stories that you couldn't hear anywhere else. And I think that's what punk rock was too. It was voices of the youth. Like there's this really great quote I like where I don't remember. I think it was Churchill. He said, "Show me someone over 30 who's a liberal, and I'll show you an idiot. Show me someone under 30 who's a conservative, and I'll show you a coward." Meaning, when you're under 30 years old, it's your time to change the world. If you're over 30 and you're still trying to change the world, you're stupid because you're a part of it now. But back then, 30 meant something.
Yeah.
30 meant you had a home, you had kids, you had this, you had
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
So it stopped marching. Like you're part of the status quo.
I mean, yeah, that idea needs a system update.
yeah.
But
Or an age update.
yeah, it needs an age update. But I feel like you can affect the world at any age. I mean, like you
I
can affect the
agree,
world.
yeah.
It depends on the definition of affecting the world. Like you can see someone and say something loving to another person, and affect their day.
Yeah, I agree
100%.
That's a
100%.
small part, but it's
Yeah.
like, and that's the, I don't know how much time we have, but
We got. I'll let you know.
yeah, but like basically, I'm like
I'm not
self-conscious of time.
control.
It's like going to the supermarket when I'm pushing the cart. My mom keeps grabbing the handle. I'm like, let it go. I got the cart first.
Yeah.
But it's like, like my mom's idea of changing the world is she goes, I want you to have a lot of money, be a doctor,
It's
be
safe.
a lawyer,
Yeah.
do these things. This is you changing the world. But me, my idea of changing the world is different, and I'm very aware of the power that even you too, Tamer. The power our voice has.
We have taken, as Arabic men, we've taken a very unorthodox path,
Yes.
career-wise.
Because comedian for
Right.
Middle East, they don't consider it professional.
Yeah,
Now,
totally. And
everything you've just said about your mom, you told me about your mom, makes me curious about what she thinks of your career. Does she accept you deciding to go the path of artist, or what are her feelings about it?
she just now, like straight up, started to really accept it because she, like,
That's awesome, by
over
the way.
time, all her like I would do I get a part in a TV show, and I'm like, Mom,
He's
I'm
such
on.
a good actor, by the way.
thank
If
you,
I haven't said
bro.
it early, he's a really great
Yeah,
actor.
Auntie,
proud
you're
of you.
your boy can act.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, there we
Give
go.
me good one.
Yeah.
Hi, Hamza.
Yeah.
Hamza, yeah.
I would do like spots on TV, and like my mom would watch it, and then she would always be like, they show you for maybe 12 seconds,
Yeah.
and then she goes, you know how I know it's 12 seconds? Because on the bottom, the numbers, I saw it. It's 12.
So
And then I'm like, yeah, mom, 12 seconds. But then the next one got bigger, next one got
Yes,
bigger.
yeah.
But my mom would always look at what it is. She goes, yeah, you're only in one episode.
so
Yo, why
So
can't
she was
yeah.
using a
That's
different,
starting.
a
Yeah.
unit of measure that wasn't.
A unit of measure, yeah. So basically,
Yeah.
but what she wanted was like she always wanted more, and she would always ask me every time I booked something. Like I would book a episode of Conan. Like I've been on the show like almost 20 times.
Yeah.
Every time I'm on the show, my mom says, "So, how much is he paying you?"
Oh,
He
Yeah.
has money.
typical Middle East.
Yeah,
she,
yeah.
She
So-
she wants to hear solid foundation. You're
yeah,
safe.
and this is where she comes
Yeah.
from. Like
Yeah.
she came from. My mom is a hustler by
Yeah,
blood.
and
Like
she
Yeah,
worked
exactly.
So hard.
Yeah.
so, this is how she looks at everything. She goes,
Yeah.
"How are you hustling?"
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Even it's so funny because in a career where there is no definite answer, she's using numbers like it was 1, 2, 3, 12
12
seconds.
seconds.
Yeah.
Okay, now I have
Yeah.
something to measure. How
Yeah.
many seconds is that? It's almost like trying to gain control of something you don't have control over,
Yeah.
which is what makes what we do so unorthodox in the Arabic world.
Uh-huh.
Like when your parents say, especially in the Middle East, it's always doctor, lawyer, engineer.
Yeah.
It used to be the safest bet.
Yeah.
That's going to make you safe. You're not going to be homeless. You're not going to do drugs. If you have this job, you're going to be a decent
But
human
also remember, they immigrate here to do the better life for you.
being. Exactly.
So they want you to do much better.
It's so funny because,
Yeah.
like, if we stayed in Egypt, I would have been a doctor, lawyer,
Yeah,
engineer.
yeah,
And then we said, well, now we're moving to America for opportunity. Now you have an opportunity to be a doctor, lawyer, engineer. And I'm like, wait, why would you move me somewhere that
Yeah.
has more choice, but tell me the only choices I have are the same three I would have had back there?
Yeah, but I understand what they come from.
Of course.
Including myself,
Sure.
of course, But I'm a different because I believe if you're happy, that's number one.
Yeah.
And also, I'm coming from a spot like your mom discrimination. I've been there. So,
Yeah.
because we, in our family, 3 religion, Coptic, Muslim, Jewish. So lots of discrimination
Yeah.
with me when even I come America. In Egypt and in America with the Egyptian
Community.
community.
I think that's
So
why
it's-
I
that's
have
why-
history with
yes,
that.
yes.
I have history with
Yeah,
my
they
own
judge
people
you
judging me and mistreating me, and I think I'm
because your
sensitive.
Mom, your mom, this and this. Now some people they understand, but I don't give a shit, because really, you judge me for me, not my religion, not my husband, not anything else.
Yeah.
But they bring all Egyptian thought back over here. You discriminate in Egypt, you come over here, no freedom, nothing, same thing like Egypt. So
Yeah.
forget it. You
I
have
think
to,
sometimes now, like the way that I got over it is when I hear the exact same thing from different people, I'm like, okay, that's not really you. You're programmed. You're a robot. You're Pinocchio talking to a real boy.
yeah.
I'm a real person. I'm a real human being. I have free thought, and I'm eyes wide open in terms of how I think, how I feel. If you're saying the exact same thing to me, like repeatedly, I'm going, you're programmed, man.
Yeah.
You're not real.
Yeah.
And it's a different life. It's like the Matrix. Like I took the pill that makes things uglier. I think a lot of us have chosen that path, especially in the arts. And sometimes I don't even get mad anymore. I just go, well, that's a decision that person
Yeah.
made that's the instruction manual they're going to use to live their life, and that's cool if that brings them peace.
Well, make happiness in our life.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter.
But it also makes me aware, like I shouldn't be so sensitive whether or not someone is of my culture or not of my culture. If someone treats me well or someone treats me poorly, it shouldn't
Yeah.
matter.
Yes,
It
it
shouldn't
doesn't
matter. That's like probably the negative side of it's probably a form of racism in its own,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
expecting more of my
Yeah,
race,
yeah.
But dude, such a great episode. We're running out of time. So, but
Yeah.
before we do, I wanted to ask you, how can people find you and if you got any exciting things coming up you want to talk about?
Yeah, you can find me on Instagram and Twitter. I'm at Paul Elia, Elia. On Instagram, it's Paul Elia _. There's another Paul Elia, and he won't respond to any of my DMs. And he won't give me the name. I offered him money. I offered him shelter. I offered him love. and he's turned down everything.
Oh, wow.
Well,
So
we're going after him like in Terminator.
yeah, why don't we,
Let's
man?
get him.
Honestly, we don't go after people enough.
We can't threaten over the broadcast. We're Middle Eastern.
Man, we gotta go to his
We
house,
can't
man.
joke threat people.
Yeah, I know, but like, I just want to get like a group of goons together and like do something. But you know how hard it is to get a group of goons together, bro? It's like so hard.
Well, I think we're going to visit Cuba soon if we keep talking about this.
I just want to get 4 people together. Like it's about like, can you do Tuesday from 10 to 2? It's like, oh well, I'm free after 3.
Well, if the FBI is listening, I've been gargling an extra long time in case you try to waterboard me. I'm prepared.
Yeah, hilarious. But yeah, man, things to plug. I have a movie out right now called Stillwater. You can find that on Amazon, Google Play, and
Awesome. What's it
iTunes.
about?
It's about 5 friends going on a camping trip, and then one of the friends mysteriously dies.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
So we try to find out how he died, and when we find out about what happened to him, we learn a lot about
It's
each
out
other.
now?
It's out now, yeah.
Stillwater. Look it up.
Look it out. Your boy's the lead in the movie.
Attaboy, right on.
Yeah, we sold it, and right now it got really popular in Indonesia.
Awesome.
Wow, yeah.
So I've been getting Indonesian DMs,
Oh, good.
Nice.
Yeah.
and people are just like, "Hey,
Any transgender? There's some amazing transgender people from Indonesia.
yeah, that's what I heard."
There's the Miss Tiffany contest, which is a cross-dresser beauty competition that's in Thailand, and when Indonesia's gone, they've represented well.
Okay, great. So I'll
Just so you know.
apply, and
Please no.
Shout out to the Miss Tiffany contest.
yeah, Miss Tiffany. Yeah, and I'm so glad to meet you, Auntie.
Me too.
Great
And
time.
Say hello to your mom. Women. We call her Strong Nancy.
Yeah.
Strong Nancy, I like that.
Qawi.
Yeah. Huh?
You're my Qawi.
قوي. Yeah.
Yeah,
Strong.
no.
Yeah.
Cool.
Nancy ست جدعة.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mashallah.
And I'm so proud of you.
Thank you,
So
Auntie.
proud of
Appreciate
you.
it.
How do you feel about the amount of Arabic that's going
Yeah.
on, other
Yeah.
Paul? Is it freaking you out? Well, guys, thanks so much for listening to another episode of They Try to Bury Us. If you were looking for live comedy, you can follow me at tamerkattan.com. On Instagram, I'm at Tamer Kat. On Twitter, at Tamer Kattan. And my mom's on Instagram. You can find her at...
Kity Kattan. K-I-T-Y Kattan. K-A-T-T-A-N.
You got it.
Yeah.
See how cute that was?
Yes.
And guys, thanks so much. Please keep reviewing the podcast and sharing it and subscribing. Thanks so much, and we'll see you soon.
Bye-bye.
Bye.